Hey everyone, welcome to Nerd Overload, the pop and geek culture show where the two of us, much like Abbott and Costello, have met the Wolfman. He's alright, dude.
Yeah, he's alright.
He's okay. I'm Sam.
I'm Josh.
And we have a great show for you this week. It's the dynamic duo, the Martin and Lewis, the Cheech and Chong, maybe. I don't know.
Hell
yeah. Whatever. So we have a bunch of things we're going to be talking about. Some New York Comic-Con news. We have some movie trailers, all sorts of fun stuff. But first, let's talk about some things we have been checking out.
Check it out!
Yeah, okay, so let's jump into it. Well, as I kind of alluded to in our intro, I got in my head this year that I wanted to go back and watch all of the official classic Universal monster films.
You know what? I've thought about doing that too.
There are a million of them.
Oh, yes.
There's like 30-some odd that are part of the official list. And I'm starting from the beginning and moving all the way up. So
are these all like in Criterion stuff or what?
The versions that I'm finding are very nice, and that's all I can say.
Got it.
But I've started with what is considered the first Universal monster movie, 1915's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Oh.
It's a silent film.
Well, yeah, because I think every film was silent until past like 1925 or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Some of them are a little rough.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'll be honest.
I'm sure.
I mean, the version that I found of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, someone had recreated the piano score that would normally be played underneath it and looped it along with. So that was kind of cool. But the surviving copy of it is not especially good.
Well, yeah, it's over 100 years old now.
Yeah.
You think it's wild that like video media, motion media is like 100 years old now.
Oh, yeah. No, that's weird to think about. Yeah.
Like we take it for granted because it's something we've always experienced.
We've always had, but
if you think about the time frame of humanity, or at least of modern humans, modern society or whatever, it's not that old.
100 years ago, things were not in color.
Nope. It was depending on what country you are. Let's see here. We had color TV in the 60s here in the United States, but in England and the UK, they did not.
That's right.
Because Star Trek and Doctor Who came out about the same time.
Yep.
And it is leagues different.
Oh, yeah. So I've gone through the first handful of them.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten through all of them yet. I mean, they're pretty easy to get through because they're all about 45 minutes to an hour long.
Yeah.
They're pretty short.
Yeah, because these are meant to be like, little like Nickelodeons. Like it's where people go get their news and everything else.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't have TVs.
Yep. So I've gotten through Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, the original Phantom of the Opera, Dracula, and
the Bela Lugosi one?
The Bela Lugosi one, and Frankenstein.
Okay.
Dracula and Frankenstein I've seen already. I've seen in the past, but just as kind of a refresher. Solid movies. I mean, a little hokey because it's of the time.
Oh, yeah.
But solid movies. As the years go on, it's just based off of the titles of some of them. I think the plots tend to get a little weak.
Well, yeah.
And I'm not looking forward to getting into The Mummy. I love Egyptian mummies, but
I like Boris Karloff.
I remember the original Mummy. I remember it being a lot of talking and not a lot of mummying.
Yeah.
I remember it being like 90% talking.
I mean, not everything can be, the amazing, classic with Brendan Fraser.
Well, of course. I mean, that's the best movie of all time,
I love that movie.
It's legitimate. I joke, but it's legitimately up there.
It's legitimately fantastic.
Top 25 for me, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
It is the closest thing to... The Brendan Fraser Mummy is the closest thing to a modern-ish take on...
the story. Yeah.
I would have, instead of it continuing to be
about the mummy,
I would have liked to have seen O'Connell
fight other supernatural creatures.
Either fight other supernatural creatures or do more action adventure pulp stuff.
Pulp action hero stuff.
Like Indiana Jones. I think that franchise could have gone in that direction instead.
Oh yeah.
And
like, I know this kind of derails the whole thing, but
oh no, let's go for it.
Those first two movies,
they're very good.
They're fantastic.
They're very, very good.
And I wish we would have got more Universal remakes of that vein,
of that caliber. Yes, because it's the perfect amount of
cheese and action.
It's got the perfect amount of cheese. It's the perfect amount of action. Exactly. It keeps you invested, but it's not overly like self-serious or anything like that.
Like the Tom Cruise Mummy.
sucked.
That movie is terrible.
Oh, that's the dirt worst.
Oh, the only cool part of that movie is when they're walking through like the Monster Hunter like hideout or whatever.
That is still
and even then,
really hokey.
No, it is. But I'm just like looking at the stuff in the backgrounds.
Oh, sure. And
Like
you can kind of see.
I didn't care anything about Russell Crowe's Dr. Jekyll character or the fact that Tom Cruise is the mummy or whatever. They don't really explain what kind of monster he turns into at the end.
He's possessed by the spirit of Set, right?
I don't even remember, which would make him a wolf man.
Which would make him more of a wolf man.
Because Set is a dog-headed god.
Right. But that wasn't.
No.
It was Benicio del Toro that was supposed to be the Wolfman.
Yeah, and Johnny Depp was supposed to be the Invisible Man, and they were building this whole dark universe thing that failed.
That failed
horribly.
So glad it failed.
I know.
So glad it failed.
Right?
Although, if they were going to do a Universal Monster shared universe nowadays, at one point Guillermo del Toro was being asked about it. It was right after Shape of Water, so
Ooh, yeah,
they were.
yeah.
The theory was
Shape of Water was going to be the
going to be
creature.
the modern Gilman,
The
and they were
creature.
going to kind of retroactively put that into like a modern retelling of the modern horror movies, and he turned it down. And he said in an interview like years later, seeing what they did with it and how they failed.
He's glad he got out.
No, he regretted saying turning it down because
he could have probably made it better.
He's like, I could have come up with something and made this work.
Del Toro loves weird. He loves horror. He loves all. He would have been like the perfect vessel for that kind of stuff. Because
there's only a handful of directors out there right now that could legitimately do a decent.
But also Del Toro, like he loves the genre. He loves
because he's a fan. Yeah,
he loves those franchises. He's not some just director who happens to make good movies that they would have just. He's not like. He's definitely not in it for like the Big Bang Buck like a Michael Bay.
He's not a workman.
No
director.
No, he's an artist. He is an artist.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Cronus? One of his older movies.
No.
Okay, so it is a take on the vampire kind of mythos. A small Spanish town. There's like a watchmaker. It's been a million years since I've watched it, so I'm probably getting the
details wrong.
Details wrong. But it's like basically it's a little mechanical scarab that injects you with something.
Oh, okay.
And it basically changes you. It makes you kind of impervious, immortal, but it's basically kind of a mechanical a science vampire, I guess, more or less. Instead of being bit
and infected with the virus, it is something that is changing you on a molecular level into another type of creature.
But it's not like super sciencey. It's very kind of low tech. Kind of thing. Because the scarab looks like a watch. It looks like the internals of an old watch with cogs and stuff like that.
It's a clockwork
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, that movie's really good. I need to go back and rewatch that because it's been a while.
I keep seeing like Pan's Labyrinth like flash across like my streaming stuff, and I'm like, I haven't watched that movie in a long time. I should watch that.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen a Pan's Labyrinth.
I keep staring at Del Toro's Pinocchio on Netflix, and I was like, I should watch that too, but I don't.
Sure.
I don't.
I mean, you got to be kind of in a mood for his stuff as well.
Yeah, like I love Halloween and I love fall and I love all this stuff, but I'm not the world's biggest horror movie guy.
Not either. I'm not either.
Like don't get me wrong, I don't mind horror movies, but also horror is that genre where there is a lot more bad than there is good.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of like rom-coms. There's more bad than there's good.
Yeah.
I don't like gory, gross horror movies.
I don't.
If it's like cheesy, like a Sweeney Todd or a Shopping Mall,
crazy over the top to the point of it being
Psycho
almost comical,
Goreman.
Psycho Goreman, like cartoon levels of that kind of stuff.
But stuff like Hostel, Saw. Don't get me wrong, I love the first Saw mostly just for the twist at the end.
I don't like the torture stuff.
No. I hate that stuff.
And also, I don't get scared by things, but
I get grossed out.
I don't get grossed out either. Used to when I was a kid, but over the years working in different, real world jobs,
you've been desensitized.
I've been desensitized to it, but I have a pretty high not a pretty low jump tolerance. It doesn't take
jump
much.
Jump scares get you.
Jump scares get me even even
you
though
see
they're
them
not
coming.
like, even if I see them coming a mile away and it's not something that has, grossing me out or affected me or anything like that, just the fact that big loud something pops up on the screen right in front of you. And I don't like that because that's cheap. A jump scare is cheap. Those paranormal activity movies where it's just like,
all of a sudden there's a face in front of the camera
all of a
and
sudden
screaming.
There's a space with a ghost face screaming at you for 2 seconds. That's cheap.
Man,
that's a cheap scare, and I don't like it.
I hated the early 2000s on the internet.
It was not great
Because every link was that stupid jump scare stuff.
Oh yeah.
Or like, oh, check out this car commercial. Nope.
Yeah.
No, I know that road. Nope.
You had to be very careful what links you clicked on because
aside from viruses and
aside
malware.
from viruses or
Hey, remember when spyware was a bad thing?
Yeah. yeah.
Anyway, we are getting way into the weeds.
That's all right. We want to talk about spyware, Bonzi Buddy.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
That's a name I've not heard.
I'm speaking the old language.
I know.
Yes. But no, Frankenstein and Dracula are really good. The original, the original Hunchback of Notre Dame was in there as well.
Oh, right. I forgot.
And that one was all
I always
right.
forget about that one. I never include the Hunchback in my monster mythos.
Well, the Hunchback
I
was...
feel like it's because of the Disney one.
Yeah.
So I get like, oh,
Disney has kind of...
softened the character.
A little bit. But plus, the Hunchback was remade about 10 years later, and it was done better. Like, people recognize the original Phantom of the Opera, even though they remade that one as well years later.
And it was better.
The original is the one that everyone recognizes with the face.
Yeah, with the the weird distorted.
Well, that one's Boris Karloff. No,
Yeah.
not Boris Karloff. I think that's Bela Lugosi as well. It might be. One of the two. They were all in all of them.
Well, yeah,
but
they were interchangeable as hell.
Yeah, but the Hunchback, people recognize the remade 10 years later version and not the original as much. But so far, they've been good. I'm looking forward to getting to Son of Frankenstein because that is one of the other ones, one of the later Universal monster movies.
Are you talking about the 1939 one?
No, that's the remade one.
Okay, so even older. Oh, the 1923 one.
1923.
Okay. Who played the Hunchback? Quasimodo was played by an actor named Lon Chaney.
Oh, Lon Chaney.
Which looks like he was the same guy who played the Phantom.
Yes, Lon Chaney. That's the one.
Yes,
because it's Boris Karloff,
he was
Bela
the Phantom.
Lugosi, and Lon Chaney were the three big names.
I
of
saw
all
the
those.
face and I was like, I know that face.
Yeah. But anyway, the Son of Frankenstein, I've seen that one before, and
I forgot about that one.
It's shocking how close it is to Young Frankenstein.
Like how so?
The
story beat or the fact that it's funny?
Story beats, visuals.
The whole. Well, I mean, Young Frankenstein used prop pieces from the original Frankenstein.
They did. That's very true. But like the his Frankenstein's son or grandson in it has the tiny mustache, just like Gene Wilder in Young Frankenstein. They travel by train, just like Young Frankenstein. There are bits and bobs, like Inspector Kemp with the wooden arm. I originally thought that was a joke.
It's a reference.
There is a Inspector Kosh who has a wooden arm in Son of Frankenstein.
So Mel Brooks was making fun of Son of Frankenstein on top of Frankenstein.
Well, it was Gene Wilder that wrote that one.
Did he write that one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he wrote it. Mel Brooks directed it and added his flair to it.
Yeah, the Brooksisms.
Yeah, and I always for years I thought Young Frankenstein was just a straight up like made an original idea, but no, it's
a parody of the Son of Frankenstein.
It's a parody of one of the lesser Frankenstein films.
Which made it also one of the better ones.
Yeah, and the Son of Frankenstein is played by Basil Rathbone, who was was Sherlock Holmes, and he was the namesake of Basil of Baker Street in The Great Mouse Detective.
Yes, or the book series Basil of Baker Street.
Yes. So,
man, you know what? I'm just gonna say it, and I've probably said this 1,000 times on the show before. Mm-hmm. The Great Mouse Detective is literally one of my favorite Disney films.
Really? Because that's in the dark period.
I love
where they all sucked. Where people didn't like them.
I like the dark period. There are some gems in the dark period. Mm-hmm. Like The Great Mouse Detective is dark, gritty, more serious. I think there's only like maybe one musical number.
Yeah.
Outside of like the little mouse girl singing out the window or whatever. And that's on a stage. It's not like a typical Disney film. It's like The Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
Where it's darker, it's more serious.
I've been wanting to check out The Black Cauldron again.
I love The Black Cauldron.
I listened to, there was a like a YouTube documentary or something about the production, like the troubled production of The Dark Cauldron, and it was supposed to have so much more stuff, and Katzenberg basically came in and gutted the thing, like went in with a knife and was physically cutting out scenes on the demo reels.
Oh yeah.
Because he claimed it didn't work.
The Black Cauldron is one of the few Disney films that I can think of that I remember, and definitely one of the first ones I remember, where a supporting character dies.
Oh yeah, just full on.
Just dies. Now, to be fair, Gorgie does come back.
Sure,
at the end of the movie, but then you look at something like The Princess and the Frog, where the little Cajun firefly guy.
Oh yeah,
dies, but he doesn't come back.
True.
Oh man, you know what? When I first saw the Princess and the Frog, I was very kind of cool,
kind of okay
cool
on it,
to lukewarm on it.
Yeah.
Going back and like
it fits right in with the pantheon of the.
It does. It
really does.
But also, Dr. Falsier is one of my favorite Disney villains.
He's one of the best villains.
Plus, he's Keith David.
Well, of course, you can't beat that.
I know.
So I love the Disney villains in the later Disney movies. I think they're all great.
Oh yeah,
Ursula, awesome. Hades, well, James Woods, not great. Hades, pretty cool.
Hades is the best.
Yeah,
they wrote him so well.
I always loved Jafar.
Yeah,
you know what?
Jafar is just near to my heart.
There we go. I like it. But like, I always liked Return of Jafar. Do you remember the two sequels to Aladdin?
Oh yeah, I've watched them all.
Yeah, I always liked Return of Jafar a lot.
I mean, Return of Jafar was I don't remember if it was the pilot to the Aladdin animated series or the animated series spawned it.
That was the Prince of.
No,
really,
no. Because James Alexander voices the little rat of a man.
Guy. Yeah, that's
right. Who frees Jafar from the lamp.
You mean Jason Alexander?
Yes, Jason Alexander. George from Seinfeld.
Costanza, yeah.
George from Seinfeld is the voice of that little guy, that little snotty villain guy.
Yeah,
a replacement for Iago, basically.
Right.
But yeah, he was a principal villain character in the Aladdin animated series.
That's right. I never watched Aladdin the TV series.
Terrible.
I've heard that. Although it did cross over with Hercules.
Yes.
So canonically, they happen at the same time.
There was also a Hercules series back in the day.
There was. That's right.
Oh, man, most of those sucked. The Little Mermaid one was bad too.
Oh, you know what?
Feels like the only one that really was good with the like established Disney characters was Goof Troop.
Goof Troop was good.
And DuckTales.
Well, you're starting to get away from.
I know, getting away from
the movie
characters. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
like, and a lot of those direct to VHS or direct to DVD sequels are not very good. The Beauty and the Beast 2. No good.
The one where it was just the Christmas time.
Yeah. The only thing good about that was Tim Curry was the evil oven.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was so... And I mean, you can't beat Tim Curry.
No,
but also, everything else about it was not very good. Although I did kind of like that it was not set after Beauty and the Beast. It was like...
During Beauty and the Beast?
It was like there was one scene, like there was the scene in the original one.
Yeah, where they're having the snowball fight.
They're having the snowball fight. That entire movie happens within that
moment, that time.
Moment. That's kind of cool. That's all right.
During the time jump montage.
Yes, exactly.
To showing where Belle is falling in love with the Beast.
Right.
Or it's Stockholm Syndrome.
Who knows? But yeah, even now, I mean, the villains... Well, Frozen... I'll give you Frozen's a good movie. The villains are not very good.
I kind of liked the twist in the first one.
I didn't.
I mean, it's whatever, but... Frozen 2 is definitely better than Frozen 1 in my opinion.
Sure.
There's more universe building, there's more story there.
The only thing I didn't care much for Frozen 2 was in the promotional stuff for it, the promotional things and pre-designed action figures and stuff like that.
All that
they were teasing different elemental people.
And they're not.
And they're not in there.
No.
Like there was they had teased like there was some big Cossack looking guy riding on a flaming horse, and there was like a couple others that were clearly like one was a fire thing, one was a wind thing, one was a
something that definitely
rock thing, and then there was the ice thing, which was
Elsa.
Yeah.
Like it's something they kind of alluded to, they talked about in the movie, but there was no payoff.
Right. And I wish I think that would have been cool. I mean, because I like superhero stories.
Exactly.
Put the team together, get the team of different superpowered people, whatever.
Yeah.
But I thought introducing, Elsa's not the only one that has these weird elemental
gifts.
Abilities. There's other people out there, and you can kind of see how other cultures, not just other like towns or whatever, but other cultures are kind of
affected
by it or have dealt with it differently. Like I think there was a native, an indigenous person who was like the wind person.
Yeah.
At least in those promotional whatevers.
Sorry, this has popped in my head. Speaking of
Sure.
natives and stuff, did you see the new Marvel Ultimates thing?
No.
So they're with the rebooting of the Marvel Ultimate Universe,
Right, because it's like a parallel kind of thing. Yeah.
Universe 60125 or
something like that. I do know Hulk is a Hawaiian.
Polynesian.
Okay. Yes.
Cool.
Hulk is a Polynesian woman.
Okay.
Because they were doing gamma bomb testing in
the post-war days.
In the post-war days, and one of the
because everybody was doing it. France was doing it. The United States was doing it.
And like a small undiscovered like
island chain in the Pacific.
So basically, there's a town that is all. They're all variations of Hulk.
Yes.
And at one point in the story, the Avengers come together to fight a mindless Hulk, and come to find out it was mindless because it was a baby that was Hulkified into a giant Hulk, and this who they're actually introducing as like the She-Hulk or the Hulk of this universe, she is able to calm the baby down because it was essentially throwing a tantrum, but it turned into a giant Hulk man.
I mean, isn't that kind of just when you get to the core of the Hulk character? Isn't that kind of just what the Hulk is?
Oh, kind of
superpowered tantrum.
Yeah, basically,
especially early Hulk.
Oh, sure.
But no, the Hawkeye.
Yes.
Is a non-binary native two spirits archer.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And it's a very solid look.
I've seen the design, I've seen the look, and I've seen that he really doesn't like anyone else in the Marvel universe, which I think is fair. Accurate and fair. That's cool. I haven't picked up any of the Marvel
I haven't either. It was
yet,
just something I saw just browsing, and it popped up on I think it was like Comic Nerd or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, do I have time for my check?
Go ahead and do your check 'em.
Okay. I've been watching a lot of anime lately because I've had a lot of downtime from work.
Sure.
Because the hurricane messed stuff up.
Oh yeah, it's throwing everything out of whack.
So I have completely caught up on My Hero Academia.
Okay.
I'm on season 7. It's very good.
Yeah.
I've reached the point where I have to wait for more dub episodes.
Oh, gotcha.
Because I was watching.
You've caught up with it.
I'm caught up now.
Yeah.
Plus, there's the new movie coming out.
Sure. Is that series getting close to an end?
Yes.
Because I know the next manga
season
has a
the manga is done.
That has a definitive ending.
Yes.
Yeah.
The next season 8. Is the final season.
Okay.
And they're not ending it on a movie like Demon Slayer is.
Okay.
Which I did get caught up on Demon Slayer too.
Sure.
Also very good. Man, me and these shonens. I've been watching a new series called DanDaDan.
You talked about it last week. You watched the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, we're up to 3 now.
Okay.
Still amazing.
Continues to be good.
Still amazing. I highly recommend it. It's very good.
Cool.
I watched Castlevania Nocturne. I guess that's my spooky kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely not
not like the first season.
It's definitely not as polished as the first Castlevania series.
Sure, yeah.
It's not bad, and I like a lot of the characters in it. I like a lot of the universe and building they're doing.
Yeah,
especially centering around like the French Revolution and stuff like that. I hope there's more because it ends on such a huge moment cliffhanger that I'm like, Come on.
Yeah, I was really... So what I was waiting for with that series, because I know they've been kind of jumping kind of forward in time as the series go. They do like little, couple episode chunks, like, or a season chunk in a different time frame. I was really hoping they would get to the future one with Soma Cruz.
Well, I think they eventually will.
Okay.
Well, if they keep going.
Because I do like Soma Cruz as a stupid idea for
they keep going
for
with
Dracula.
They keep going with it.
Yeah. But they're also they're working on the Devil May Cry show now.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if it's the same studio, though.
It is.
Is it? Okay.
It's it's all produced by Adi Shankar, the guy who
that guy.
Power/Rangers, the fan film that's grim dark, everybody's angry with Katie Sackhoff.
Yeah, and Red Ranger with a missing leg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Rocky.
Yeah.
The evil secret villain is Rocky because everybody hated Rocky.
Yeah.
That was not fun.
Also, he stinks as a real person. But anyway.
No, Steve Cardenas is a good dude.
Wait, which one was a Red Ranger that was kind of a jerk to us?
Was a jerk to us?
Yeah, because he wouldn't do the interview. He was like in town or whatever for a party or something.
Oh, that was... Oh, who was that? Was that...
we can cut this crap out.
No. I'm thinking about it. It was the Time Ranger, Time Red.
Oh,
geez, what was his name? I'll look it up here in a second.
Yeah.
But he's one of those guys that he lives on the con circuit these days.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like second or third build in that Power of the White Dragon movie that Bat in the Sun claims to have been working on, and it's been years. I mean, granted, their star passed away. Jason David Frank is no longer with us, and they had to reshoot a bunch of scenes to fix it. But I
was also under the impression that movie was done before he passed.
It was supposed to be. It was supposed to be, and it never was.
Anyway, do you care if I kind of spoil the end of Nocturne? I know Nocturne's been out for a while.
Yeah,
now.
go for it.
So, the very last episode, they're gearing up for the big fight against this vampire god messiah lady thing. She was like the embodiment of the Egyptian moon god or something, and she's trying to blot out the sun and make it eternal night or whatever.
Jason Font.
Ah, okay.
And I mean, I'm sure he's a lovely guy. It might have just been busy the night that we were trying to interview him, but yes, we got snubbed by Jason Font.
Yeah, okay.
Steve Cardenas is a good dude.
Okay. This moment's happening, and like the heroes think they're about to, like, well, we're screwed, we're done, and a flash happens, and then all of a sudden you see a very long cross-shaped sword.
Oh.
And then a voice, and it says, "I am Alucard, son of Dracula. I have killed thousands of vampires. If you wish to live, you must leave now."
Interesting.
And so all the night creatures and vampires dip out, and then like a couple of the characters like, "Who's Dracula?" and then Richter Belmont is like, "Oh, you're real."
Okay.
I thought you were a legend.
Okay. So this is taking place right before Symphony of the Night then. Because the game starts with Richter being beaten or getting possessed or something to that effect by Dracula, right?
No.
I thought that you start the game as Richter. That's the die monster. You don't belong in this world.
No. That's
And then it switches to Alucard?
Nope. Die Monster's from something completely different.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
No, I thought that because it's like the intro that it's teaching, because Richter had all the powers.
No, because I remember having Alucard with all the powers, and then you fight Death, and he knocks you back to the beginning of the game,
right,
and takes all your stuff.
Right, but I also thought Richter was there, and that's where you get the what is a man? Nothing but a miserable pile of secrets. Have at you!
Order of Ecclesia.
Ecclesia. Okay. I'm going to die on this hill. We can move on, but I'm going to die on this hill. I think the first 2 minutes of Symphony of the Night has you play as Richter, you beat Dracula, and time cuts 6 months or a year later.
Oh, you are correct. It is Symphony of the Night. It has been so long since I've played that game. Then I guess it does take place. Well, it can't take place before Symphony of the Night, because in the Netflix Castlevania universe, Dracula's not a power anymore.
Okay.
So I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows? They might be mixing it with Castlevania 2.
That's even if we get more Nocturne.
Yeah. Who knows? All right. Yeah. If we're good, then we'll go ahead and jump into some news here, and then let's do the news.
All right.
Okay, yeah, so let's talk about some things. So we watched a couple of trailers before we started recording here. I cannot remember most of them.
We watched the trailer for the movie Electric State.
Electric State, yes. So this is going to be a direct-to-Netflix movie in March, I believe it comes out.
Yes.
It's directed by the Russo brothers.
So if you've watched an Avengers movie, you've watched the Russo's movie.
Ohio's Own.
Yeah, Ohio's Own.
They're
Russo
from
brothers.
Cleveland. Hey, yeah. Starring Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt.
Unfortunately.
And a bunch of voice actors. Jason Alexander's in there, and there was...
It's kind of weird.
Well, Tooch, Stanley Tucci's in there as a
Yep.
live action or whatever, and it's basically set in some kind of not so much post-apocalyptic, but future time where there was a war between
humans and
robots. The robots lost and are basically kind of like second-class citizens now.
Yes.
And there is more things going on with them.
Yes.
That's essentially what it is.
Yes. I'm still not even really 100% sure what the actual story of this movie was.
But it seems interesting, and it doesn't seem like it's just one big CGI nightmare fight. I mean, there was a bit of that in the trailer.
I mean, all the robots are obviously CGI.
Yeah.
I do kind of like that all the robots are kind of junky, Fallout-y type of...
They're starting to kind of fall apart a little bit.
Like they're, they look like that retro futurism kind of thing.
Yes.
And I kind of like that.
I dug it as well. I also liked that they don't all look the same.
No.
Like in iRobot or whatever.
Yeah,
where they all
yeah.
were like basically clones of each other.
Yeah, they're all just
all different makes and models. Some of them are mascot robots.
Yep. There's one that had
there's a Mr. Peanut.
There's a Mr. Peanut. One of them had the Cincinnati Reds mascot head.
Yep.
Carlos Esposito was a face on a TV, and it kind of gave me like
Giancarlo Esposito.
Gave me vibes of like oh shoot, what was his name?
Krang or
no.
Arnim Zola.
No,
because the screen on the face with the robot body.
Fallout New Vegas.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, there are these robots in Fallout that they're kind of like Gizmo Duck with like one tire.
Oh, yeah.
And then they have like a body, and then there's some arms, and there's like a big TV face in the middle.
TV face, yes.
It reminds me of that.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I could see that. But it looks interesting.
Yeah.
I don't have super high hopes for it, because if it were really good, it would probably be in theaters and not direct to Netflix.
But
then Glass Onion was a direct to Netflix movie, it was freaking amazing.
You know what makes me mad? The fact that Knives Out is not on Netflix.
I know, right? Because the other two are going to be on there.
Yeah. Come on, Netflix.
Yeah.
I haven't watched Knives Out. Put it on there.
You haven't seen Knives Out?
No, I've never seen it.
Oh, dude.
No, I haven't seen that. TM.
No, it's great. Yeah, you need to get caught up with that.
I really do.
Other trailer, The Monkey, a horror movie coming out in January, which is weird.
Yes. Based off I think a newer Stephen King story.
Yeah.
And I know the whole reason you brought it up to me because I am quote unquote the monkey man.
You are Nerd Overload's resident monkey man.
So the trailer had that old school like 70s horror or 80s horror like voiceover to it. Like it's all like in a quiet peaceful town, darkness sleeps. That kind of stuff.
Someone gets one of those old-timey monkey toys with the symbols.
Yeah, it's a wind-up monkey with the little symbols.
My dad had one growing up, and he named it Chet. I think he still has it.
You know what? And they're still nightmare fuel.
Yeah, oh, sure. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
I think they're cool.
It's
good visual.
It was also a weapon in Call of Duty Zombies back in the day.
Yeah.
You could like throw it and attract all the zombies, and then it blew up.
But this is basically like the monkey makes wishes come true. It's
they're
like
bad wishes.
It's like the monkey's paw.
Yeah, the monkey's paw or Wishmaster. It is obviously a malevolent supernatural power that can grant wishes, but there's bad outcomes.
Yep, and it does seem like it's an old school throwback, which makes sense because it's directed by Osgood Perkins, who's the son of Anthony Perkins from Psycho.
Yes,
and Oz Perkins has done. He was an actor for a while. People who don't know horror movies, because he directs almost exclusively horror movies, he was in Legally Blonde as the bookworm nerdy guy that was socially awkward in that movie. But more importantly, he recently directed, and I think he wrote, but directed Longlegs with Nicolas Cage.
Okay.
Which I think Cody talked about a week or two ago.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. He mentioned it, but he couldn't get into it for some reason.
No, he's a much better director than he is actor.
You know what? I feel like that's a lot of the actors who make the transition.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? Oz Perkins has grown up around filmmaking his entire life because his dad was a famous actor.
That happens a lot with
offspring of.
I don't want to say nepo babies because a lot of people who come from acting families and stuff, they do good work.
They do.
Carrie Fisher came from an acting family.
Sure.
And she did acting, but also she was a writer, a script writer, a director. She did all that stuff. She was a producer. She did amazing things back in the day.
Well, if you want a more modern example, Jack Quaid.
Yes, I love Jack Quaid.
Yeah.
I still haven't watched Lower Decks, and I know he's the voice of Boromir on Lower Decks, but I have watched My Adventures with Superman, and he is the voice of Superman. And I love that himbo Superman boy.
Oh yeah, no, he's great on that. He's great. He's great in a lot of things, but he's the son of Dennis Quaid.
Yes.
And
say what you will about that though, because it's Dennis Quaid.
Well, the Dennis Quaid's not too bad. Randy Quaid's the
wait. Which one was the crazy one?
Randy.
Oh, okay. Is that the one that made weird videos during the pandemic?
Yep.
Okay. My bad.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Dennis Quaid. And then I got you mixed up with your apparently insane brother. Please don't sue.
Meg Ryan.
Jack Quaid. That's some parentage right there.
Yes. So yes. And he's been like very open about both my parents were very famous successful actors, and it did initially open up
doors for
me where they wouldn't, but I'd like to think that these days
it's through his own work.
Through my it's more about my work, and I'm now helping other new actors try to get into the business. Because he does make a point to try to hire lesser known actors into his programs and stuff
which is
like
a
that.
Fantastic way to be.
It is.
And that's how a lot of big actors got started back in the day.
It absolutely is.
That's how Hugh Jackman got started.
I mean, it's who you know, not what you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like that with anything else these days.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. All right. So we got to fly through the last couple of these. So Martin Scorsese is working on a Beatles movie.
A Beatles documentary.
Another Beatles documentary. It's called Beatles 64, and it is documenting the Beatles' first trip to America in 1964.
Oh, see, I thought this was the next stage in the Beatles where they had to go collect coins, and there's a cool rap at the beginning.
Yes. They're finally back performing for you. If you know the words, you can join in too.
John Lennon.
Yep.
For those who don't know, that's a reference to Donkey Kong 64 with the DK rap.
He has no style. He has no grace. This Ringo has a funny face.
I was gonna make a Ringo joke too.
Yeah,
because he's like, even though he's part of the Beatles, he was always the lesser Beatle.
He's the one they always joked about. Yeah.
Ringo's not even the best drummer in the Beatles.
Well, they were giving him a hard time. He really is a decent drummer.
He is. And also, him and Paul are the only ones left alive.
Well, sure. I mean, that doesn't count for
much,
but
he definitely, I feel like he's taking better care of himself.
Well, sure.
He doesn't look nearly as ragged as like other musicians from that era.
Sure.
Even though they probably did just as many drugs.
Well, let's
Ringo
see.
did write the weird ones, the weird Beatles songs.
He did write the weird Beatles songs. Yeah.
Walrus, Octopus's Garden, which are good. I love them because they're weird, but
yeah. Controversial opinion. I think George Harrison's musical output post Beatles is wildly better than what he did in the Beatles. He only wrote a handful of songs for the Beatles, and they were all kind of snoozers, especially after he worked with Ravi Shankar and started playing the sitar on things.
Yeah.
But the stuff that he did post Beatles, with the Traveling Wilburys and his solo stuff, I think is much better.
You know what? I will die on that hill with you.
Well, thank you.
We are back to back fighting against the evils of the music world.
Get a hold of us. Staff at nerdoverload.com. Let us know how wrong we are. BJ, I know you have an opinion on this. You need to get a hold of us on this one. All right.
Or just come back to town.
Oh, yeah. Or we'll get you back on the show. We can argue about Beatles. We could probably fill a whole hour about it.
That's right.
Let's see. Next up, the Oscars. We don't usually talk about the Oscars on
here.
Not
often, unless there's something weird.
And unless there's like a slap or something.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
Out your mouth, yeah. But they apparently are looking for a new host for this
Which
year.
is weird that they're scrambling to find a host so late.
But the rumor is Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds are being eyed to co-host it, and that would be fantastic.
Also, that would be the safest play they could make.
It would be incredibly safe, but
the whole
also,
world is still talking about Deadpool Wolverine.
Oh yeah, and they've become like a comedy duo sort of situation.
I feel like making like these, like this movie particularly, like I know they worked on Origins together, and I know Ryan Reynolds was not happy with Origins.
Well, they've been friends forever.
Yes. So I feel like this is like the blossoming of a new like Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen kind of level of star friendship.
Yes.
Like I hope there's more weird stuff.
I hope so
like
too.
what Patrick Stewart and John and McKellen do.
McKellen, yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. But if they were to co-host the Oscars, the Oscars would have such a weird and fresh energy to it.
There would be so many memes.
How likely would it be that they do a joke on the slap?
For real.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's low-hanging fruit,
but that's the Oscars,
and that was the big thing that happened at the Oscars.
That's what everybody talks last year. I couldn't
remember if it was last year or 2 years ago.
Well, time is
an illusion.
Time is an illusion, and everything takes a million years now. Let's see.
And 2 seconds. Like I blinked and it was September.
Yeah, right. Doesn't feel like we're 2.5 months away from the end of the year. Definitely not.
Hush.
So we don't have much time to get into this, and I don't know how much I can get into it because there's just so much of it. There was a huge multiple terabyte leak from the Pokemon company.
That is... Ooh.
Someone did what it was, they got a hold of someone's internal passwords pretending to be someone from a different department who needed their password, and they just gave it out. And what
people... Don't give out your passwords.
And this is the largest leak of unproduced and beta information from various games. Goes all the way back to Gen 3. All the way back to Gen 3. And so we're getting sprites of characters that never made it to the final game, sprites that were characters that eventually made it to the game but in different forms. We're getting internal memos about what to do with specific character designs and stuff. In fact, there was one set of documents, I think it was for Gen 3, where all of the gym leaders, they had documents saying, okay, we want this character to look like this, and this, and they had like photographs of like examples. And I remember there was one where it was like all these different things, and then the what was it, the flying type gym leader in the game, it was like a lady, and they just said, we want a hot Latina pilot. That's what we want. And there were pictures of Jennifer Lopez at the bottom of the memo. And this isn't fake. These are real things that the Pokemon company sent to each other going, we want our gym leader to look like this. It legitimately said, well, in Japanese, they had to translate
obviously.
it, but it legitimately said, hot Latina pilot is what we want for our flying type gym leader. Internal memos. There's a whole thing about. So did you play X and Y, the one that's set in semi sort of France?
Oh yeah.
The one with the mega, where they introduced mega evolutions.
Yeah.
There was a. Do you remember the big guy XY XZ? The big giant, the 3,000-year-old giant. They use the memes of him like holding on to something that says it's been 3,000 years.
I never saw those.
Okay, so there is,
and I didn't beat X and Y. I played it.
Okay,
I had a shiny Gengar, a shiny Mega Gengar.
Oh, nice.
But I never beat the game.
Never beat it. Okay, well, in this, there was a whole allusion to a war of Pokemon. Yes. Back in the ancient times.
I remember that story bit.
The internal documentation, story bible of that never actually made it to the game. It's all laid out in these documents.
That sounds like it would make an amazing Legends game.
It absolutely. Well, they're working on Legends Z.
ZA,
which is it's set in the past, but not all the way back.
Yeah, it's
like
not.
that.
It's not like Arceus, like where you're like feudal Japan past.
Right. It's like French Revolution times, basically. because they're building
on X and Y.
They're building on X and Y, and the Lumos city was Paris.
Paris, yes.
It even had the tower in the middle.
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, everything.
There were
and fashion. That was also the first game where we could change the look of your trainer.
Mm-hmm, that's right. There are internal documents about they were building mythologies. There was going to be a whole subsection of one of the games where you were going to learn about like essentially original Grimm fairy tale version of Pokemon stories, or Japanese like yokai stories where they're definitely not for kids, like the original Little Mermaid that was very not PG, or like the original some of the other ones,
or any of the German ones,
Yeah, there were stories about a very bad Typhlosion that did some pretty gnarly things.
Yeah, you told me about that off mic, and that was no.
Oh yeah, no, it's a whole, and it's presented like it is a folk tale. Ugh. But it's very not for children's folk tale. And the idea is they were building it specifically as a background to get the designers into the mindset of what this world would be.
I mean, to be fair, if you read some of the descriptions of the Pokemon in the Pokedex, some of them are...
Oh, they're pretty nasty.
Oh, yeah, like the ones that like drown children or steal their souls or whatever.
Oh, yeah, Hypnos steal children to eat.
Yeah.
To eat their dreams permanently. Yeah, no. Their whole things. Well, in the original Red and Blue, Alakazam was a kid that got too smart and turned into an Alakazam. And its brain keeps growing to the point where it'll eventually crush its neck and die. That is in a game that is actual canon.
Yeah.
Pokemon. But no, this leak is crazy, and I urge anyone who has even a passing interest in Pokemon to go look up some of this stuff, because it's only a matter of time before Nintendo and Pokemon Company do DMC takedowns of all of this stuff.
And lock it down under a rock.
But as of right now, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a couple of Twitter accounts that have been almost exclusively been going through and cataloging all of this
those are
stuff.
probably burner accounts in the event of a DMCA takedown.
Most of them. There is one that is he basically, I don't know how he gets his information, but he has been able to call like specific things for upcoming generations, like 6 months prior to the games coming out. Centro Leaks is, I believe, the guy's name.
Here's the thing, though. A lot of those guys, I don't know how they get access to it, because it's the same thing in the Fortnite circles, too.
Yeah.
Like, data mining.
A lot of data mining
is a huge thing.
Yes.
But and I'm like, where are people getting the access to this stuff? Yeah. Like, I know the internet is the internet, and everything's typically,
everything
if you work hard enough, you can basically break through anything.
Yeah.
But looking at you, all the other big leaks we've had over the last 10 years or whatever.
Yeah. But anyway, he's been covering it for almost every day for almost a week, and it's like just nonstop. I don't know how the guy sleeps.
I mean,
but
multiple now I'm just thinking about that meme with Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. I can't sleep. I must know more.
Yes. But it's a pretty big one. Like I said, if you have even a passing interest in Pokemon, look up some of this stuff. It's wild.
Before it's scrubbed from the active internet.
From the internet. There are some designs for Pokemon that were drawn like eldritch horror things.
You go, what? That makes sense.
There was a terror dog that looks like it's from Nightmares. It looks like, I don't even know how to describe it.
It's like when you see those like super serious fan arts of Pokemon.
Oh, that's exactly it. But it's internal memos and things like that. It's ideas. Okay, it reminds me of. Do you remember the original thing for Epic Mickey, where the designers purposely created extremely dark, extremely detailed horror scenes for Epic Mickey?
Yes.
Because they knew that they weren't going to get it approved, so they can get it rolled back to something that they were actually happy with.
Yes.
Some of these designs look like they're from that horror.
That mindset.
That mindset, that original mindset.
Ooh, I'm so excited for the rebrushed.
Oh, yeah. That looks good. It does look good.
And it'd be nice to play it without motion control.
Oh, yeah.
Because I played Epic Mickey on the Wii.
I'm just glad that Oswald the Lucky Rabbit isn't locked onto the Wii forever.
I know, right?
I wish they would do more with Oswald the Lucky Rabbit.
I think he is in the second one.
He's in the second one, but I mean, they did all those updated shorts.
Yes, yes.
With my favorite clip, the Wahapa. Yeah, but they never did anything with Oswald, and they own him, and they should use him.
He's back under the house.
Yeah,
he was pre-Mickey.
He was pre-Mickey, and he had the personality of Bugs Bunny. He was like the snarky trickster.
He is the proto. He's the proto cartoon character.
Right. He has the personality where Mickey Mouse doesn't. Mickey has no personality.
Do you think that's where they maybe kind of pulled some of their inspiration for Bugs Bunny from?
Possibly.
It was like,
I mean, they're all kind of sharing each other's notes at that point.
Well, yeah, back then,
Back
because that's those tight knit community in California, people in Burbank just drawing cartoons,
and they were all kind of working for each other's companies because
before
it was the
Walt,
30s and you needed work was work.
Yeah, and it was before Walt started his own company.
Yes.
So that's the whole reason why Oswald couldn't come with Walt to Disney, because it was owned by his previous employer,
who eventually turned into NBC.
Yes,
that was the big thing. All right, well, hey, we have hit time, so let's go ahead and wrap things up for the week. You have been listening to Nerd Overload. Thank you very much for tuning in. You can find us each and every day over at nerdoverload.com.
You can follow our socials, our Facebook, Instagram, follow our Twitch, support our Patreon. You can find all of those at links.nerdoverload.com.
You can contact the show in a multitude of ways, believe it or not. You can email us, staff@nerdoverload.com. You can also call the hotline. That's 740-229-9562. Does not roll off the tongue like the old one.
No, it does not.
But someone's got to use it before we lose this one as well.
Also, you can find us on various podcast apps such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, or support our YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube.
We have a baker's dozen of subscribers to the YouTube. Let's see if we can make it to 15.
You could at least watch our videos
of us
eating hot peppers.
Yeah, come on. And finally, I'd like to thank Parker for helping us out on the Facebook page and David Pencil for our intro and outro. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will be back next week.
Pizza out.